Okay, we'll begin. Welcome, everybody, back to our to Tuesday Lunch and Learn. And I apologize for the absence, for the hiatus, but I was with a group in Poland, and primarily in Poland, a little bit in Prague, but exploring and trying to understand the Holocaust and its repercussions to what it really means to be Jewish and who we are. So we had a wonderful group of students, of 34 students from different campuses, primarily Baruch and Queens College of Delphi, and it was something very special once again. But it's good to be back and to continue now with our Tuesday Lunch and Learn, and especially like to welcome my friend David from Bolivia. David, I see that you're on over there, so I want to welcome you from all the way in Bolivia, and looking forward to seeing you in person soon, Bezrat Hashem. So I want to speak today about a topic I think related to Elul. Right now we're in Elul, and again, as we're in Elul, we have to start preparing ourselves for Rosh Hashanah and introspecting and thinking into who we are and really what our relationship with Hashem is all about. And there are many ways to enhance our relationship with Hashem. And again, to work on Amunah, to work on Bitachon, and many direct ways of doing it. Another way to enhance our relationship is really to focus on Hashem's qualities, really on what Hashem views as important, and what Hashem views as important gives us insight to who He is, and the more we have insight to who He is, the more we want to relate to Him and want to connect to Him and understand how good He is, and not only good, but how much He loves us and how much He cares about us. And of course, these are the things we have to know about Hashem. He's not just the creator of the world, but He's actively involved in our lives. So, to that end, I would just like to share something from last week's Parsha, in Berditchever Rebbe, and just to look for a moment on a little bit of the meat of Hashem, and we're going to do it a little bit indirectly, but every aspect of Torah gives us insight into the quality and character of Hashem, and of course when we see that, that's what builds our Amunah, and strengthens us and gives us the desire to want to connect to Him and want to change ourselves to be what He wants us to be. So, in looking at last week's Parsha, where the Torah in Berditchever Rebbe in chapter Yudalad 14 discusses different types of animals that are kosher and not kosher. And for a mammal to be kosher, the pasuk tells us in verse 6, "V'kol behema mafreses parsa v'shosas shesa, shtei parsos male gere b'behema, osa tuchelu." It says for a mammal to be kosher, it has to have two things. It has to be shos shesa, and it has to be malas gero. What does that mean? The two qualities. It has to, we call in English, it has to chew its cud, and it has to have a split hoof. And again, what's the aspect of these qualities? The aspect of these qualities are for us to ingest an animal, just a mammal. So there have to be some aspects to it which are spiritually uplifting, are spiritually purifying, or how should we say it, spiritually elevating. And what are they? Well, if you think about it for a moment, an animal that chews its cud, to chew its cud, it means that it has to have more than one stomach. What's the vision, what's the aspect of having more than one stomach? So spiritually, it's the idea of being sameach b'chelcho. It's the idea of being happy with what it has. It can take the same grain, and if it has 3-5 stomachs, it can chew that same grain, up, down, up, down, up, down. It can be sameach b'chelcho, be satisfied with one aspect, one piece of grain for such a long period of time. Unlike a traditional carnivore, like a lion, as soon as it devours the deer, it's done. It just eats it and it's craving something else. The animal, like the cow, it can keep eating and regurgitating and bringing it down and eating and regurgitating so many times that it fulfills that spiritual quality of being sameach b'chelcho. It's interesting. It's brought down that we know that in additional halacha, it says that we're not able to lo sachosh chamor im ashur. Don't put a shore together with a donkey in the same yoke. Keep them separate. Don't, when you have a yoke, when you want to pull a plow or pull something, don't harness together a donkey with an ox. So many different reasons why, and of course there's the reason of difference in strength. And we know the ox will pull a different rate, and that will call the donkey to have to to adjust itself, and that will cause it to chafe and to hurt it and to harm it. But there's a very beautiful reason, a little bit different. It says that, if you think about it, well, a cow and a donkey have completely different internal makeup. The cow has many stomachs, and donkey is just one. So therefore, when you feed the donkey is going to finish its grain, it's done. The ox is going to be on that same bucket of grain, is going to be eating it perhaps 5 times longer, because it's going down to each stomach and up and down, up and down, up and down. And as a result, it's going to cause the donkey to be batzar, to be pained by the fact that it has to stand next to an animal that's eating, it's already finished its food. And we know how unpleasant it is, how uncomfortable it is, that if you're watching somebody else eat and you're still hungry, or you haven't eaten yet, or whatever it might be, it causes a person tsar. We probably think immediately that if we're eating and someone's not eating, we want to share our food. How could I eat and you're not eating? But the cow or the ox doesn't know to share its food, so the donkey is really sitting there in a tremendous state of discomfort, because he has to watch the ox bring it down and up many times. But again, it's spiritually a very, very elevated quality of the animal, because it indicates that that type of animal could be somech b'chelchus, says in Pirkei Avos, chapter 3, content with that which it has. The second quality that we need to know for a mammal to be kosher, it has to have the quality of, it has to have a split hoof, we say in English. It has to be mafresis parsa. That's to say, the hoof has to be split. And what's the idea of a split hoof? The idea of a split hoof means there can't be claws. If there are no claws, it means the animal can't be a grabber. It can't grab something else. Just if I may, just go back to the point I made before about now putting an ox and a donkey together. I heard once said a little bit, maybe humorously, but I think there's a lot of truth to it. If you're not supposed to put an ox and a donkey together because the ox makes the donkey feel uncomfortable, because the ox is eating 5 times longer than the donkey because of the many stomachs, we learn from that perhaps maybe we have to be careful how we seat people at simchos. For example, if we're making a bar mitzvah, or we're making a wedding, or whatever it might be careful the seating arrangement. How do you put people together? Don't put 2 people together if you know that they're going to be uncomfortable. You have to think through that idea. Of course, if we know they're going to be comfortable, obviously put them together, but don't seat 2 people together if you know that by putting them together, one is going to feel uncomfortable. We learned that halacha, or perhaps that actual practical expression of halacha, from not harnessing a donkey and an ox together. Just going back to that point for a moment. But the second quality that an animal needs to have is it has to be mafrise parsa, meaning it has to have a split hoof. Split hoof is the vision that the animal doesn't have claws. So why is that important for an animal to be kosher, not to have claws? Like what's that all about? So the idea is that an animal that has claws is a grabber. It's a taker. It predates. It's a predator. It can attack another animal and grab it. That's the idea of a claw. It can actually use those claws to grab something. And usually it's grabbing another animal. The idea of a split hoof means that the animal is very docile. The animal is very passive. The animal isn't a grabber. The animal doesn't take. He's not a predator. He doesn't look to grab or to take from other animals. So a beautiful vision spiritually is the idea of he's not a taker. He doesn't look to look at other animals as prey. He's not looking to see in the animal kingdom, what can I get from you? He's looking to take care of his needs through herbs and herbivores, we say, and through grains as it might be. But he's not looking to be a predator. He's not looking to take or to say, you're only there to benefit me. Also a very beautiful spiritual quality, how we're supposed to look at ourselves. Are we looking at the world to take from the world, take what we need? Are we looking to say, what can I give? Am I satisfied with what I have? Am I going to grab what you have? I'm going to be satisfied and just accept that my lot is what the Kodesh Baruch Hu gave me. So spiritually, these are 2 qualities that are necessary. Kodesh Baruch Hu tells us, Hashem tells us, if you're to eat of the animal kingdom, again, perhaps the world was vegetarian until the flood. It was only after the flood that Hashem gave us permission to ingest the animal kingdom. Before that, we were not allowed to. But once now we are allowed to use the animal kingdom for our benefit, so Hashem says you have to be careful. There are animals that can spiritually elevate and animals that are spiritually cannot elevate. And again, the animals that we want to become part and parcel of our person are animals that have those two qualities. That they're satisfied with what they have, as indicated or illustrated by the fact that they have more than one stomach and they can chew their cud, and they don't grab from the world. They don't predate. They're not predators upon others. And as a result, they have split hoofs. And the split hoof indicates that there can't be claws. So the Torah goes on, and the Torah says that, however, there are some animals that have one sign and don't have the other sign. So it says, Esa gomel v'es arnevis v'es shofan. Three animals, the camel and the arnevis, which I think is translated as the hare, and the shofan, translated perhaps as the rabbit. These three animals, ki malegera hema, they're malegera, they chew their cud. They have more than one stomach. However, farsalo hifriso, but they don't have a split hoof. Tameim heim lechem, and as a result, they are impure for you to eat. V'yesar chazir, we have our famous animal, the chazir, the pig. Ki mafris parsahu, it has a split hoof. V'lo geira, but doesn't chew its cud. Tamehu lechem. It describes four animals. Apparently, these are the only four animals in creation that have one sign but don't have the other sign. The gamal and the arnevis and the shofan, camel and the hare and the rabbit, they chew their cud but don't have a split hoof. And then you have the chazir, the pig, ki mafris parcel, who has a split hoof, v'lo gera, but it doesn't chew its cud. Tamehu lechem. Just as a side point, just how fascinating it is that the Torah understands, the Torah knew, there are only four such animals in creation that have one sign but don't have the other sign. And the Torah goes out of its way to tell us that. The Gemara Chulin asks an interesting question, says, Moshe Rabbeinu, how did he know this information? Was he an archer? Was he a hunter? Was he a trapper? Was he a zoologist? How did Moshe Rabbeinu know this? Only four animals in creation that only have one sign, not the other sign. So the Gemara responds and says, this is haraya, this is a proof to anyone who wants to say Torah lo me shemayim, the Torah is not from heaven. Only the creator of reality, the creator of the physical world, the creator of all animals can give us information and say no matter where you travel on planet Earth, the only four animals that have one sign and not the other sign are going to be these four animals. I believe to this day we have not identified an animal besides these four that have one sign, not the other. I know there are always attempts to find certain animals, and eventually those attempts have always shown, well, it's really just a derivative of the chazir, a derivative of the pig, or a derivative of one of these other animals, which are the same family, same genus. But a fascinating point just to strengthen, of course, our emunah, that information that only the creator of the world would know. Something to think about, to think as it builds our emunah and what we have in front of us, a document given to us by the creator of reality. But what's so fascinating about the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu expresses it, that's really what I want to focus on right now. In other words, for an animal not to be kosher, for an animal to be kosher, it needs two signs. It has to chew its cud and has to have split hoofs. If an animal is lacking but one of these signs, it's not kosher. But listen to the way the Torah describes these animals. Esa gamal v'esa arnevis v'esa shofan, the camel and the hare and the rabbit. Ki malagera hema, even though they chew their cud, parcelo ifriso, they don't have a split hoof. V'esa chazir and the pig. Ki mafris parsahu, even though it has a split hoof, lo gera, it doesn't chew its cud. Interesting. Why do we have to know the sign that's kosher in the animal? Just tell me the unkosher sign and I have all the information I need to know. Tell me that the gamal does not have a split hoof. And tell me that the chazir doesn't chew its cud. I don't need to know the information about the animal that makes it kosher. That's extraneous information. That's information that we don't require in the laws of kashrut. I just have to know that it has one sign that makes it not kosher. So why does the Torah go out of its way to tell us the sign of the animal that is kosher, And not only that, why does the Torah go out of its way to tell us the sign of the animal that's kosher and places it first? It says, it's this, oh, but it's not that. Why do I need to know it to begin with? Just tell me what's not kosher about it. And even if you can tell me what's not kosher about it, you have to tell me the sign that's kosher first? The gamal and the arnevis and the shofan, kima legerahema. Even though they chew their cud, that's a kosher sign. Parsaloi friso, it doesn't have a split hoof. V'yeso chazer ki mafris parsahu. And the pig, even though it's mafris parsa, even though that it chews its cud, even though it has a split hoof, v'lo gero, it doesn't chew its cud, tameh hu lechem. Why do we need to know that? Why do we need to know the sign of the animal that's kosher before we know the sign that's unkosher? Why do we even need to know at all that there's a sign in it that is kosher? Just tell me the sign that's not kosher. That's the information we need in order to tell us that we're not allowed to ingest this particular animal. I heard a very beautiful explanation, I think gives insight into just the meat of Hashem. Even though these animals, these mammals, are not kosher, why do you have to look at the side of negativity? Why do you have to first focus on the part of the animal that makes it unfit? First focus on the quality of the animal that's Torah, that's good, that's positive. Oh, the gamal, it chews its cud. Wow, the spiritual quality of being satisfied with what it has. Oh, but it doesn't have a split hoof. Focus on the side that's kosher. The pig, even though it's mafris parsa, it has a quality. It's not a grab. It doesn't have claws. Oh, but it doesn't chew its cud. The Torah goes out of its way to demonstrate that Hashem wants us, before you look for something which is unkosher, before you look for something which is impure, first focus on something which is positive about it. Focus on there's a part of that animal really which is kosher, which is good. In other words, even in the description of animals that we're not allowed to eat, Hashem is teaching us a certain aspect of how He wants us to approach this world. Don't look at this world through the glasses of negativity. Don't look at the world in a way in which we're looking to condemn. We're looking to find fault. Look to see the positive first. In anything, there's going to be something positive. Look to see what's positive. Then, of course, one has to modify and say, but of course, if this quality, I can't eat it. But the way Hashem chooses to express these halachas, Hashem is teaching the mode of expression, not just in the halacha. The mode of expression is first Hashem says, I'm focused on what's positive. I'm focused on what's good. I'm focused on that which is kosher and tahor. And then, of course, there's a quality which makes it not kosher. But the modality of Hashem's expression is there to teach us that's how He looks at the world. He's looking to see the good. He's looking to see the positive. And of course, if that's the way Hashem looks at the world, that's what we're supposed to look at the world. The famous statement, Mahu rachum v'atar Beholech b'drachav, to go in Hashem's ways. How do we go in Hashem's ways? Resemble His personality traits. How do we learn His personality traits? We learn His personality traits by studying His Torah. Hashem looks to see the good. He looks to focus on the positive. And that's, of course, what we have to do with people, with our friends, our chaverim, our family, the world. Look first to see the positive. Then, of course, we have to keep our eyes open. Not everything is good. Not everything is positive. But try first to see what's positive. That creates an individual who is emulating Hashem. And I think we learn this so beautifully by this particular halacha, the way it's expressed. The Torah goes on and speaks about different birds that aren't kosher. And look at the Gemara Chulin. The Gemara Chulin tells us that there are 24 birds that we're not allowed to eat, and they all share a similar quality. And that quality really is that they prey on other animals. They're carnivores, like a nesher, like the eagle, which will eat small animals, or a raven, which will eat the carcasses of other animals. Animals, the birds that we're allowed to eat, have to also again not be animals that are carnivorous, have to be animals that only eat herbs and seeds, or herbivores. And apparently the Gemara Chulin tells us there are 24 of that type. The Gemara describes, again in Parshas Re'eh, in verse 14, it describes a different type of bird that we're not allowed to eat. It says, just to read, starting in verse 12 and 13, this you should not eat from, these birds you should not eat. Hanesher, the eagle, a paris, I think is a type of, I'm not sure exactly, type of vulture maybe, but ozniah. And then lists three birds, hara'ah, ve'esa'aya, ve'adaya. Hara'ah, ve'esa'aya, ve'esadaya lemino. Rashi tells us the ra and the ay and the daya is actually the same bird, but is called by three different names in three different places around the world. Therefore, Hashem seems to be emphasizing that how careful we have to be with this particular bird, not to make a mistake, and gives us all three names. But the first name is very interesting. He's called Hara'ah. Hara'ah, Resh Aleph Hey, from the word lirot. Lirot in Hebrew means to see. That's the name of this bird. He's a ra'ah, not a ra like for ra from evil, but a ra'ah with a hey at the end. Resh Aleph Hey, from the root lirot, to see. And he's called the ra'ah because he has exceptional vision. And apparently it's a type of bird that can spot from 1,000 feet up or more a smallest of animals on the ground and swoop down on it and be able to catch it. An amazing gift that it's given in terms of vision and sight. And so it's called a ra'ah, one who can see well. And the Gemara Chulin on Daf Samachim on base 63b talks about this bird, and it describes it. And it says that, Nesiv lo yodu ait velo shisaftu ayin. Apparently it's a bird of extraordinary vision. And then the Gemara goes on and says, Tana, we learn in Braisa, how good is the vision of this bird? Omeres bebavo, v'roa nevela be'eretz Yisrael. It can sit in Bavel, in Babylon, and it could see a dead carcass where? In Eretz Yisrael. That's pretty good vision because Babylon to Eretz Yisrael, but maybe there are points where we're maybe just a short distance, but there could be places between Bavel and Eretz Yisrael hundreds of miles apart. It doesn't say exactly where in Eretz Yisrael it sees it, but it could be sitting up in Bavel. I mean, it's implying enormous vision here. Sitting in a country adjacent to Eretz Yisrael, land of Israel, not in Israel, and seeing a dead carcass all the way in Israel. How many hundreds of miles away? It's unclear, but it's certainly extraordinary. The question is, why does the Gemara give us this description of the bird? And it seems like in this description, we're getting additional information as to why this bird is not kosher. In other words, we don't need this information. All we need to know is that this bird eats meat. This bird eats flesh. It preys on other animals, other birds. It preys on other animals, small animals like an eagle or a raven or a hawk. Why do we even need such information? What's the Gemara adding? It seems that the Gemara is adding additional information as to why this bird is not kosher. And the name Ra'ah, the name vision, the name sight that it can see, is giving us that additional information. Well, what's wrong with sight? What's wrong with vision? It's a very positive quality. Maybe we should imbibe such a bird. We would have enormous qualities. We'd be able to get rid of our glasses. All the yeshiva world, no more glasses. What an amazing bird. What a gift from the Almighty. No, but there's something negative about this bird. What's negative about this bird? Listen to the Braisa one more time. Tana, we learn in the Braisa, Omedes bevavo v'roa nevela be'eretz Yisrael. It could sit in Babylon and see a dead piece of meat in the Vela in the land of Israel. What's negative about this bird is, listen to the way the bird is described. It has such eyesight, but all it can see about Eretz Yisrael are dead carcasses. All it can see are dead animals. It looks at the land of Israel, a land where spirituality and ruchnius seeps through the stones, a land where there's such goodness and chesed, a place where people are looking out for one another, a place where people are learning God's Torah and living righteous lives. And all this bird could see are dead carcasses on the ground. It seems that the Gemara is giving us additional insight through the name of this bird as to why it's not kosher. Its vision is something extraordinary, but look how it uses this vision. It uses this vision to see negativity, to see destruction, to see death, dead carcasses in the land of Israel. All it can see is death. Perhaps we could say that the people look at Eretz Yisrael like that today also. Certain media and institutions and government agencies look, and all they can see are what's wrong with Israel. Death and destruction. This person got killed, and that they don't look to see the beauty. They don't look to see the way the soldiers go out of their way to save lives. They don't look to see the text messages that the Israeli army sent to the people in Gaza, telling them, get out of your apartments, bombs are going to hit. They don't look to see the fact that he sent dumb bombs first, which is scatters, no one should be hurt. They don't look to see an army which has such morality like no other army in the world, how it takes care to preserve the life of those who are trying to harm us. It just sees death and destruction. It looks to see the negativity in the land of Israel. This bird sees only death. That's a negative way of viewing the world. And that seems like the Talmud is adding. The Gemara is giving us additional insight as to why Hashem wants us to know its name. One of its names is Ra'ah because of its vision, but look how it uses its vision. It uses its vision incorrectly. That's an additional reason why it's unkosher. Look at the world through positive eyes. Look to see the good. Don't look to see just dead carcasses in the land. Look to see what's uplifting. That's the Ra'ah. How interesting it is that even in the laws of kashrut, which we tend to think are about the neshama and are about just laws that have to do with us and Hashem, and we can send so many details of instruction as to how we're supposed to live our lives, and help us to understand the way Hashem's looking at the world and what Hashem's priorities are, and how Hashem looks for goodness and looks to see positivity. And that's who Hashem is. And of course, that's how He wants us to behave and how He wants us to relate to our world. But the insight we get about Hashem, wow, Hashem, you're looking to see the good, the positive. It gives us an insight to whom we're relating, to whom we're turning to in the month of Elul. The more we understand Hashem, the more we have such a desire to want to get to know Him, and want to connect to Him, and want to live up to His expectations of us. Just want to end with a beautiful thought from a great Hasidic Rebbe, and that's we call him the Berditchever Rebbe, Berditchever Rebbe, Yitzchak Levi Berditchev. And Rabbi Yitzchak Levi was always referred to as the defender of Israel, the Aves, the Ohev Yisrael. He would always look to see what can I find that's good about other Jews, and that seemed to be his trade in his stock and trade and his trademark personality, looking to see the good, looking to see how great the Jewish people are. And there's a famous story about Rav Yitzchak Levi of Berditchev. It says that one time that he was walking on the street, and it was Tisha B'Av. And we know in Tisha B'Av it's a time when we are mourning and we don't eat, we don't drink. And he noticed a Jew was eating, and this Jew was drinking. And he was not just doing it privately, he was doing it publicly. So it says he came to the Jew, he approached this particular Jew, and he said to him, he said, Bani, he said, my son, maybe you forgot today's Tisha B'Av. It's not so, you must be so busy, so involved in your life, and in so many different tirdot responsibilities. You probably forgot today's Tisha B'Av. This Jew responded, he said, no, Rabbi, I know today's Tisha B'Av. So Rav Yitzchak Levi looks at him and says, oh, so you must never have learned. You don't know that you're not allowed to eat and drink on Tisha B'Av. You probably think that only applies to Yom Kippur and to other such, to such a day. You don't know that it also means Tisha B'Av. I know it's only the Rabban, it's from the rabbis, it was created after the destruction of the temple, but you probably are unaware of that halacha, that you're not allowed to eat and drink. And this man responded, he said, Rabbi, I'm very well aware that today is a fast day, and I'm very well aware that you're not allowed to eat and drink. So the Rabbi, Rabbi Yitzchak Levi, Berditchever, the Berditchever, he turns to him and he says to him, he said, oh my son, it must be your health. Obviously when a person has health issues, so that's a reason to break your fast. Especially Tisha B'Av, it's the Rabbanan. We try to be strict, but if it's a health reason, of course you have to eat and drink. It must be you're not of great health, and that's why you're eating and drinking today. So this particular Jew turns back to Yitzchak Levi Berditchever and he says to him, Rabbi, I'm perfectly healthy. I'm fine. In fact, I'm best health I've ever been. I'm perfectly strong. I feel great. So I said, Rabbi Yitzchak Levi, he lifts his eyes to Hashem and he says to Hashem, he says, Master of the universe, look down and see what a wonderful, holy people is your Jews, your nation Israel. 3 times I gave him the opportunity to lie, and still he only tells the truth. Hashem, look how great your people are. They can lie if they want to, but they won't. Look at the meter of honesty. What a nation you have. That was the Berditchever. Those looking at the world with such positive eyes. That's looking to see that the Chazir has a kosher sign. The Agomel has a kosher sign. It's looking to see not like the Ra, but to see positivity and not just death and destruction. That's the way Kadosh Baruch Hu looks at the world. That's the way he wants us to look at the world. That's why Yitzchak Levi Berditchever looked at the world. And if we could do such, we'll certainly be elevating ourselves to be the people that Hashem wants us to be.